What I'm saying about Olama.
So last week we looked at whether we can host Olama on a GCP environment, and we found out what is the minimum requirement for that. So it had one, I think, a T4 or A4, one some NVIDIA GPU, and when we looked at the cost of it on a monthly basis, it is coming close to about some no, much more than that. I think close to about some 3 lakh rupees or so per month. So that GPU configuration is available. It's going to be like that if you want to deploy on our own. But if you deploy on only CPU also it requires some 32 or 64 gigabytes of RAM and minimum 8-core machine. And that one is also close to about some 50,000 rupees per month. And CPU machines have a latency problem, which means that when you ask a question, it will not be very fast. So you'll have a lot of thinking effect, that 3-dot effect. Latency will be very high. So therefore, we cannot solve it using such an approach right now. So what is the way? So therefore, one of the approach that LLMs give you is what is called as you can augment before you submit some kind of an augmentation technique. Okay, some kind of an augmentation. So it has some knowledge. You can augment that knowledge. You already know how to, let's say, generate next sentence. You may not know how to generate the next sentence in history. So I'm going to give you some history information. Using this, you have the capability to generate, you generate. You know how to sing. You are Kavita Krishnamurthy or you are Sonu Nigam, but you don't know how to sing Kannada. So I will help you to learn Kannada a little bit. Then you sing because I'm taking you for your singing capability, right? So like that is the next possible technique, augmentation technique. This is where broadly 2 kinds of augmentation can be leveraged or used. One is called as a RAG, another one is called as a GAG. RAG is retrieval augmented generation. This is cache augmented generation. Now, what's the difference? So, for example, I want to generate some Bharatiyata based, let's say, background, right? So, I have to give it Bharatiyata. So, now what is Bharatiyata? So, Bharatiyata means so many things. I may have, for example, say some 20 documents, 20 PDF documents with, say, some 200 pages each. So, 20 into 200. That much of content I have as far as Bharatiyata is concerned. That is what represents Bharatiyata, let's say, for all of us when we are generating any content. So now the question may be gravity. Okay, so now the prompt may be about gravity. About gravity, if I feed all the Bharatiyata content, it will be too much. What is relevant for gravity? If I can get some sections from this Bharatiyata content, from this 20 into 200 page content, relevant sections. Maybe there is some mention about gravity by Aryabhatta. Maybe there is some mathematical formula about gravity in some scripture. So maybe there are some only 3 or 4 spots or areas where this gravity may have been mentioned. So if I can get only that, and with that, if I send the prompt, the quality of the response from LLM improves tremendously. So that is the fundamental idea of the RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So in my knowledge base, I retrieve appropriate sections and I augment the generation of LLM. How do I retrieve? That we will think next. And that is where all the vector database embedding and all these words come into picture. But that is the fundamental idea, concept. What is cache augmented generation? When it is generating, you essentially, if it is let's say, instead of 20 into 200, if I have only one document of, let's say, some 2 pages, and that is what represents my knowledge, then, every time I can simply give that whole knowledge and the prompt to LLM and say, you figure out. Using this, you figure out and you give me the answer. Then also the quality of the generation will be much better. Caches, see, retrieval. CACH. Correct. So cache augmented generation. So if I draw a picture, right? RAG is if I have this much of knowledge, and if only this much of knowledge is important for this particular prompt, how do I retrieve this and feed this? Is the RAG technique. Whereas if my knowledge base is only this much, and it can all of it can actually fit into the query prompt. So this plus this, if I feed this, whatever I have, plus no, don't worry about RAG. This is CAG, right? My entire knowledge, my knowledge plus the user prompt. This whole thing I'm feeding to LLM and asking LLM to generate. That is a CAG technique. So I have to cache this information, right? That's why it's called a cache augmented generation.
What were we doing JG for lesson content? Were we doing CAG or RAG? What does that mean?
What you are doing is essentially, in a way, you can think of it like a CAG. Internally, I do not know whether the custom GPTs, what are they doing? Are they doing RAG or are they doing CAG? I don't know. Your custom GPTs, you uploaded your documents, right? I do not know internally when it is generating, whether it is giving the entire content or whether it is retrieving specific content, that I don't know.
CAG or RAG?
What do you
What
mean?
do we call that?
It's an augmented generation. You can call it as augmented generation. But whether it's
So we are giving the entire text.
you are uploading the entire textbook, but when the prompt goes, whether whatever, let's say your custom GPT, whether it retrieves a part of your document and the prompt that you're giving and then generates, or is it taking the entire knowledge base that you uploaded and your prompt and generates, that I don't know. It could be. Yeah.
Because we are asking for, we gave an entire textbook, but we are asking for a specific lesson called gravity. Even though there are 100 other topics in the textbook. So it is bad.
Internally, what it is doing, what it chooses, I don't know. For your custom GPTs, correct. We should be able to find out. Maybe it will give you an answer. Yeah. Yeah. So therefore, LLMs are not for your fact-finding questions. Please think about it. LLMs are not for your fact-finding questions. Because facts, what is the height of Everest? It can give you that answer, but it is not designed for that kind of a capability. It is not for your fact answering. It is for generation. It is for new content creation.
Where you give the facts and you tell that now generate some contents around this fact. You say that, okay, Everest is this shape, it looks like this, this much height, comparatively other mountains are of this height. Now generate an image, or now generate description, things like.
Yeah.
Give the facts and ask it.
It uses the fact, but it can create its, see, if you allow it to be, in a way you can think like that. As long as, the content that you're generating is not going to be you have to 100% of the time get the same answer. Imagine, you are a surgeon, okay, and you always deal with very life-threatening surgery. And, you need certain tools, say some 50 tools you need during that surgery. And there is a new nurse who's assisting you. You say scalpel 1, 2, 3. She has to give you scalpel 1, 2, 3, right? But if that, for her, this is scalpel, this is scalpel, this is scalpel, she picks up some scalpel and gives you, as a nurse, you're not very useful for that surgeon, right? During that surgery. Why? The surgeon wants the same exact thing every time. In such situations, LLMs are not necessarily the greatest tools. They are not designed for such situations. They are designed mainly for generation, new. Okay, present the same information in a newer way. Present the same information for a 6-year-old. Present the same information in a engaging way, story way, playful way.
Generate a poem of gravity. Even these facts, generate a poem about gravity. You don't want it to dictate what are the basics of gravity.
Yeah, so the distinction is clear, right? Okay, and these two techniques are clear, RAG and CAG. Okay, Anupama ji, Shravan ji, Are we so far so good?
Yes, Ji.
Shravanji, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. Yeah,
Very
I'm clear.
smartly-
Yes, Ji. Yeah.
Very smartly, if you see Andrigo, they are not giving the answers.
Yeah.
They are actually asking questions
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
The student asks something, then it will not actually give answer.
Yeah.
It's a bug which they disguise as a feature.
As a
now,
feature. Yeah.
That you find it out yourself. I'm not going to give you the answer. Yeah, if it says that, give me the answer of this, it will not give you the answer. It will say that, okay, I will tell you, go ahead and do this and do that and find it out yourself.
That is why, they can easily ask some simple mathematical question and it will give you a stupid answer. Because it was never meant for these kinds of factual situations. It was meant for generation, right? So clear? Okay, all right. So now, as far as these two techniques are concerned, what do they mean and what is our production approach is the focus, right? So now there are three situations. One is our teacher LLM, another one is our AI buddy, and another one is our AI buddy for, let's call it as some other name. AI buddy is for Q&A or for mastering.
AI buddy is for Q&A.
Hariom provision. Hariom.
What is written away, Kushi?
Code bade. Her second name is code bade. Kushi code bade.
Kushi forward. Oh, okay. The food gives confidence.
Now that we are mentioning food, I was hearing that there is some treat that I am.
Yeah, seven ka.
Never will you join for the huddle, no?
Actually, it is code bole. Code bole.
Bole. Means what?
Something.
I know, in Marathi surname, right? Code means in Konkani. Bitter. Bole means saying. Actually, it's not bitter saying the truth as it is. So you tell the truth as it is. Or as you like it. Code bole really, I think original meaning is that somebody who tells the fact straight away. So that somebody does it in your house, like that,
Yeah, almost everyone.
it hurts now.
Oh, very nice. So, Prabhuji, we started discussing about where all we need AI in our go live for June
Okay.
and how we should address it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were looking at some of the vagaries of our Gita
Yeah.
in the website. And through that, we were discussing, okay, what should be our approach? Okay. So now, we have these two techniques potentially. So for our go live, we cannot really depend upon our own model, fine-tuned model or the SLM, all that is unknown yet. And what are the experiments that we have conducted so far are still not giving any kind of a valid, reliable results. Because we're still struggling in setting it up and asking it. So this effort also will go on in parallel, but we are not yet in a position to say this is our production approach.
Yeah.
So what we want to discuss now is production approach. What is our go live approach? Okay. I'm not so much concerned about the custom GPT. Why? Because our custom GPT is going to be vetted by our teachers.
Right.
So there's a human in the loop. So I have no problem with that. So whatever the prompt engineering that our team is doing, with that, they will work with Darshanji, that is okay, right? So there, we don't have to spend our energy. Today, let us spend our energy on the AI buddy. And the purpose of AI buddy is for,
What is the AI buddy?
in the student mail, you want to show, Dhavalji, that way everybody has a context. So let's show the two places where we want to use AI in our student learning.
This is for tomorrow's demo. Or this is for the.
This is for the go live.
Go ahead.
Go live. For tomorrow's demo also we need to discuss, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
What you want to do. How to pull the wool over the eyes.
You heard. Code. Actually, so actually, I think your name over a period of time, God Bore has become Code Bore. Okay, God Bore is street talker. Code Bore is bitter talker. Okay, the language will over a period of time, God Bore has become Code Bore. I think God Bore is are there.
Yeah, there are.
God Bore means street talkers. Code Bore means tough talkers, like they take talk only truth.
Very nice.
So Guruji, we have a residence in Goa.
I have presentation.
We have.
Okay, so now Dhavalji is showing where in the student journey we need AI.
In two places. One is when we do the learning phase. So when we are going through the lessons, that time this buddy helps as the,
Doubt clarifying agent.
clarification, mentor and kind of like question answers and all. So say for example, I can ask this question here that
It comes in the explanation part.
I didn't get
No, even during learning you can use, because this buddy will be always there.
a part about. It has mentioned here that gravity has influence.
Yeah, first let's understand what's happening and then we'll discuss.
So I can ask, I didn't get the part about tides.
What are you asking? You didn't get that?
The part about tides, like this is the lesson gravity, Guruji.
Yeah, what did you get?
So it says that
Tides.
gravity has influence on.
Okay. You can just say what is tides?
Yes, sir.
Is it not visible, Guruji?
Visible, but then
Yeah.
the background color and this.
Yeah. So, here it says that, this is how it works, and do this kind of an experiment, like, how balloon, behaves and how it is similar to tides. So it is explaining the concept in context of the lesson that is being discussed. Because.
So this is the AI buddy, right?
Everybody is Bobby, the equal of Krishna.
Yeah. So Krishna will be always there, who will be ready to answer during learning process any
Everybody
questions.
is Krishna.
Yeah.
So Vijayji, is this RA?
Actually, call that instead of a buddy, call it as my buddy. The child will personalize it.
Yeah, we'll bring that. Yeah,
Or my friend.
my buddy.
For us, technically it's a buddy.
Yeah,
But for child, it's my friend.
sure. Yeah, we'll modify that and we'll also give the ability to maybe do some simple personalizations, like maybe adding some avatar and all that.
Yeah.
But this is one place where we need a reliable AI solution. Right now, all it is doing is, simply sending the question to Gemini. Whatever the answer Gemini is giving is being shown here.
This answer Gemini has learned, no, already?
No.
They cannot find the answer to Gemini.
No, he is giving what is the lesson? He is giving the lesson context and he's asking Gemini.
No, lesson context is Gemini knows now.
He's feeding it when he is asking that
I'm
question.
doing that. I'm showing
Is
how
it
that-
real-time trading?
Has Gemini learned what we are teaching, or is
No.
Gemini gives the answer from the broader universe?
Broader universe, but Dhavalji is saying use this content.
Okay.
Whatever I'm showing on the screen, use this content.
Text on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for example, this is our lesson content, right? So for the introduction to gravity, I'm giving this context, which is typically something that the teacher would put. That this is an introduction to gravity, walking the student through the basics of gravity. So this is passed on along with the content of the lesson. So the Gemini knows that this is the context in which it is operating.
So you're doing the point.
Yeah, so in a way, it is loosely same as CAG, right? Because
Yeah.
the whole text of whatever is being shown
Yeah.
is being fed to LLM along with the query.
Yeah, and this is the prompt. You are a friendly and encouraging AI tutor to the 10-year-old. Your response should be like this.
Okay,
Okay, now,
this is a, you have their prompt,
Hmm.
but AI will respond from the general universe.
Yes,
It's not from our content PDF.
no,
It's from anywhere in the world, it will answer.
yeah, so this is just a proof of concept, like we are.
now that is where now, Guruji, we are discussing how we should give our content. That is where, we are going to talk about two approaches, RAG and CAG. So now what Dhavalji has done is essentially like a CAG, cache. So here's a cache of what is being shown. That entire thing is going to the
Actually,
LLM.
Cache of which this thing will have lot more bigger universe than what we are having,
Correct,
right? But also the problem is it can hallucinate or give some wrong content to child.
correct.
So as long as we have specified it, it is a 10-year-old child,
Yeah,
it may not build some junk there,
true,
right?
true,
But always the answer will be much more broader, richer than our general answer.
correct. So therefore, for our AI buddy or this Krishna interaction, it may be appropriate for us to run it through a RAG pipeline, right? So we need to be able to extract, okay, you are a AI tutor in Bharatiyata content, and here are the Bharatiyata content relevant to this. Here are the science content relevant to this, and whatever the prompt that Dhavalji has given, all of that has to be fed into LLM. And of course, we don't have to already have an opinion about which LLM we want to use, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT, whichever, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we will work with the notion that we are LLM agnostic, and over the next 1.5 months, we should arrive at which LLM is working well with our setup.
Interface is different from implementation.
Yeah. This is simply how the user experiences it. Behind the scene, we will swap in, swap out. Okay. So given that, now let's talk about what is RAG. So already, like we understood, if this is the universe of my knowledge, when I'm sending the content to LLM or the prompt to LLM, I am augmenting it by giving a piece of knowledge and saying, use this. In other words, it is nothing but it acts as a context to LLM. See, LLM is a very simple machine. It only operates on the context. Okay, so it by itself has no memory. It has been trained, it's been conditioned with all the weights and everything, but it doesn't remember. So depending upon what you give, using that, it will generate, right? So therefore, we are augmenting it. So now let us talk about the augmentation technique. So this is where, the augmentation technique, one we need in but before we jump there, what is the other area where we need AI?
So once this is done, we go to the next portions of things. So this is still our learning phase. We are still under the learning phase. Now this is done and it prompts us to do an activity, which is the mastery part. So we are supposed to do an activity and understand things from the activities. And based on that, we go to the next phase where we are having either or options of either having a quiz or AI or both. So I'll quickly go through the quiz because
Is also part of activity.
it's evaluation.
Okay. But,
Learning mastery and language.
Vimarshana, where does it?
We have not yet done a UI for it. It's a separate.
Otherwise, it will not proceed.
So what Dhavalji is doing now is mastery, is it?
Vanish.
Evaluation.
Mastery is done?
Mastery is just instructions. Really.
No, but there we'll have to think about it. You know, when you submit the answer, right? It has to evaluate and give feedback, right? There also we need something.
No, the evaluation is based on the activity that you promised in mastery.
Correct.
Hmm.
Remember, there are two kinds of evaluation.
Hmm.
One is defined quiz kind of evaluation
Hmm.
for the mastery.
Hmm.
Then there can be AI evaluation, no? Remember
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had,
yes, yes.
huh.
That is there. That is there. So the evaluation, AI evaluation is actually with respect to mastery.
Correct. Yeah. So this is the second part where we need AI.
Yeah, just I'm trying to clear the quiz so that.
I'll just go down and bring one book to show you people.
Yes,
How fast the Sanskrit is.
Yes, Prabhu.
You know, if you are doing so,
I'm very heavy. I'm saying that to refer it down, no, it's very heavy.
No, no.
I'll take it.
right up India, bring it.
Wait.
Okay, but it's weightlifting. You have to bring it up and carry it up and keep it up.
I'll take it home.
Back pain on that.
I'll take it home.
Okay.
He has a back pain and since.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that it's returned.
Fine.
Later.
Later.
So this is
No,
the
you- I
evaluation.
was sitting on the laptop, was going and was participant.
So tell me about your gravity experiment. So
Huh.
Which
What
book
do
you
you
want?
want?
Which book you want?
No,
No,
not now, Guruji.
what did you observe
Come later to the.
Later we come.
when dropping different objects? Can you share text descriptions and photos of the experiment?
Yeah, so again, let's focus here, please. So the student was asked a question about some experiment, right? Now the student is submitting the answer
Yes.
and the student has submitted the answer, okay, in the previous section. And now evaluation is happening. This is another place where we need AI.
Yeah, so tell me about your gravity experiment. What did you observe when dropping different objects? Okay, so I'll say, lighter ones and heavier ones will at the same rate. Yeah, I'm intentionally not giving the right. It's not actually blinking here, it's blinking there on the.
Oh, it's the Zoom problem.
But it's okay. So, it says great observation, this and that. So initially it's giving some good, talk, but then it says that, that this is not right. So,
It's sometimes it looks like heavier than small bus. So let's say, yeah, our teacher will pick and they'll say, you
so
are.
this is responded correctly. Okay. So now let me do another one. Crumpled paper fell down faster than plane.
So much you want to
I had to.
So UI and Gravity Maharaj.
Gravity given.
So it's but the flat sheet has much more surface area, so it is saying this observation is correct. Keep exploring and asking questions, you will be great. So because see, the AI evaluation has 50 points and it needs to reach that level. So currently it's just asking, giving points per interaction. We should be ideally giving points per correct interaction, but still, it's better than. So let's do this. Spherical objects. No, not very faster than the. Again, you're right. So this kind of interactions is important. I can also ask questions here. I didn't get why crumpled paper wall faster than plain. They told me not to put it.
Okay.
He didn't answer the question, he just said,
Yeah.
oh, they-
So fundamentally, Dhavalji, okay, let's call the first one, the A as Krishna. This one is Yaksha. Okay, so what's the difference between the Krishna and the Yaksha?
Technically speaking,
Hmm.
both are just provided different context and prompts.
Okay, so there's a difference in the prompt.
Yeah, so if you see the context for the Yaksha
Hmm.
or the evaluation one,
Hmm.
I'll show you. So. Here if we go to the evaluation. Body. This is the prompt that is being provided.
Hmm.
The first one. And second one is the context. The student has completed a hands-on experiment exploring how different objects form under gravity and the effects of air resistance. They should demonstrate understanding of basic gravity concepts and how air resistance affects polymer.
Okay, so this has been okay. So when it is acting as Yaksha, the context is, the learner has already supposedly have learned the concept.
Right.
What concept has been learned and what is the experimenter has conducted. Otherwise, underline same model. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, but let's consider them as two distinct AI avatars.
It doesn't matter as well, like it could supply different models or.
Yeah. So for our practical thinking purposes, like how Gita is one character,
Correct.
now we have two characters. We have Krishna character and we have Yaksha character,
They can be agents also.
right? Yeah. So we have Krishna and Yaksha. That is where we need to now spend our
Yeah.
thinking. Okay. So, okay, let's lean in. That way our.
Sorry, what is the Yaksha character? I didn't get that.
It's mastery, yeah.
Yeah, Yaksha character is for mastery. Yaksha agent comes during, you saw that Dhavalji showed an experiment and asked this child to conduct the experiment, and the child came back and submitted some answers. Then the Yaksha started interacting. Okay, let me quiz you. So like that, I think, the quizzing started. And there it prompted some question, and based on what the user gave, it asked some more questions, some more explanation. So that's a Yaksha. That's for evaluation.
So we are splitting into two. The general guidance is from Krishna and specific questioning and assessments are through Yaksha.
Correct. There are two different characters, two different agents. Is a quiz master.
Okay.
that is the activity. He's not-
Just now.
It's not asking anything, right?
No, but that is the one which is evaluating whether you're doing correctly or not.
It's a free form environment.
Uh-huh.
Like it's like more like, what did you observe and what are your things and.
More open-ended questions.
Open-ended.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay. Clear now, Shravanji? Shravanji?
Sir, yes.
Okay, yeah, sure. So, okay, now let us put our attention on. So, how do we want to do this for our go live? Okay, and for our go live, right now, like I said, there are two broad techniques, RAG and CAG, and whatever Dhavalji is doing is equivalent of a CAG, where the entire context is being fed to LLM and the LLM is generating. But for our go live, we may want to adopt a RAG technique. Maybe for both of them, we'll think about it. First, let's think about Krishna. So, what is RAG? We have to extract a certain snippet or a certain section of our knowledge base and give it along with the prompt. That's all the differences. So how do you extract what is relevant? That's the idea. So for example, there are many approaches. But one of the simple approaches is something called as a vector database. And whatever your knowledge, no, you represent it as a vector. And when you're representing it as a vector, broadly you can represent at a word level, at a sentence level, at a page or a document level, some other higher level, information level. So these are different ways in which you can embed. Embed means what? You have to put all this content in your vector database. So when you're putting it in the vector database, much like in our cupboards, we keep each cup separately, or sometimes we put one inside the other, and we put. So depending upon our most often use case, right? We can embed. So how you put inside is called embedding into a vector database. Because in the vector database, it is not for human reading. Vector database is for the machine to read. But our content has to get converted, and the conversion process is what is called as embedding. And there are these three different kinds of techniques. So once the information is in the vector database, then we can, during the query time, when the user asks the query, we come to the vector database, we get whatever we need, add the additional user query, and whatever prompt that we may want to give, all of these three. So three kinds of information. One is what we can call as knowledge base. Second one, what we can call as the whatever some general guidelines or general context information that is already embedded. Let's call it as, for lack of better terms, guidelines, right? Guidelines. Third one is user query, what the user has asked just now. These are the three pieces of information that needs to go to your LLM. Okay, so how do we do it? So user query flows through this RAG engine, and it uses a vector database, pulls this relevant section of the knowledge base, adds these two, submits, whatever the answer comes back. So this is the idea. Okay. And what approach we can use to embed, and which particular search technique to use, all that we need to now fine tune. There are many different ways of embedding, many search techniques. But the conceptual approach is always, you have some information here, and when you search, you may find more than one match, because cat sat on there are more than one matches, right? Which match you want to get. So that is all depend upon how you embed it. So when you search in a vector database, the general approach is called as top K results. Top K results. Very simple. What it means is, for this search, what are the possible closest answers is what is meant by top K. So you fetch some top K, and depending upon each K means what, it will tell you, okay, this is my, let's say, expected, and these are my three possible results, R1, R2, R3. It says this is at a distance of 0.4, this is at a distance of 0.5. It ranks it. It ranks it and gives a certain number called the distance probability, 0.7. So then you can decide which one to use. So there are some techniques to identify and then feed. So we can even say, okay, we will always fetch that top K, right? K you can replace by 3, 5, 7, 9, whatever number it is all your wish. Or you can say that no, for this particular query, I will fetch the entire vector database and then feed it as a context, if your LLM can take that huge context. But remember, each has a cost benefit, it's number of tokens at the end of the day. So let's say we fetch top 3, we add guidelines, we add UQ, submit, and we get. So we will figure out which technique to use to embed and to search. These are the two problems that we will have to solve. So if we embed by maybe say document, and if we use face as a search, there are different techniques to search. Cosine similarity is one such technique. There is Facebook has something called as a FAISS, FAISS. That's another search technique. There are ways to search. Don't get perturbed by the technical term lingos. Simply, it's all about different ways in which you can search. Yeah. So we will see which search approach works best for our case. Okay, and then we submit. So this is what is the current thinking. Dhavalji, Shravanji, any others? What are you?
The search is at getting a rank, right? The
ah.
rank, the exact rank it has to retrieve. For that, we are now using search.
Let's call it as to extract a part of our knowledge.
That's what, that is only rank, right?
So to retrieve a part of knowledge.
The most relevant knowledge, accurate knowledge, we are using the search. And the top 3 of the search.
Top 3, whatever,
Yeah.
we can play around with them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we will have to do. And to do this, we will build a jot form like some simple interface ourselves. And we will have the ability to plug in Gemini, plug in ChatGPT, whatever, and play around. So that is going to be one of the main problem statement that, along with Dhavalji, some initial guidance for the UI, because they are, this is not a production quality UI that we need. Using Streamlit or whatever, they can develop this, but that is an area that they can focus on. And then, we will have to give the right kind of questions that may come up and then see how it is performing. Think of it like we are creating our own jot form for our internal training purposes. And our AI agent. And whatever we train and whatever we figure out is that right combination of vector DB, the guidelines and the UQ, plus that particular model is our production deployment. So to production, now these things are as good as code. This is as good as our React code. This is very, very important for us. This knowledge base and how we represent it, what particular weights we are giving and what search technique, all of these together, plus the LLM is what we will deploy for our June. Any thoughts, questions? No. Shravanji, is it all making sense, Ji?
Yes. Who will be doing this internally? This is
No, this is what I want Kushi and Anisha ji to be working on, and of course it will involve once when they start showing some results, we'll have to wrap it with some APIs. Then we'll have to connect it to our Krishna avatar and Yaksha avatar.
What will be the environment with which they will work with? Directly with Dhavalji, or they want to first see it with our a website project?
They will not work with Dhavalji. The way I am thinking is, so for example, all we need is what is the knowledge base and an environment to create the RAG and some LLM, maybe ability to pick and place, okay, OpenAI or Gemini, so on and so forth, right? So that RAG portion will be on our GCP. The front end portion also will be hosted in Firebase. This is only an internal training front end.
Okay.
And this entire thing, once when they develop this, then using our custom GPT team, we can train it just like how today Ashwini ji and Anisha ji are training, no?
The jot forms, yeah.
In jot forms, let's think of it like our own internal jot form. So we'll have a simple internal jot form equivalent, and there they will be training. And once when we all feel that it is at a acceptable level, and of course, we'll continue to be doing a continuous integration with the front end, but it is decoupled. It doesn't have to be a coupled activity, because whatever Dhavalji is doing, it will simply come and replace behind the scene. There's nothing that is going to change in the front of the scene.
Yeah. But it is a very important activity and it's a good step.
Yeah.
So let's go with it, but let's have a small, because a lot of things I've heard, can we have a small document on what we are trying to achieve as a project definition, and then
Definitely.
Yeah.
Already both of them, if you see the kind of the nature of the different tasks that have been assigned to them, was around these concepts only.
Yes.
So now, we can kind of put it a little more formally, and we can define, what is that we really want and how it should look like, because this is an important step for the humankind.
Correct. Big step.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Yes, Dhaval. Good.
Anupama ji, you have any points to add or anything to ask?
Nothing, Vijay ji.
Okay. Is it all ITH, OTH, whatever we've discussed so far?
No, it's making sense, but
But can you give the example of Facebook
Search.
search technique? So that
Um,
we can relate very easily.
how does it happen in
Ah.
Facebook?
Okay, what I mean is there are different search techniques. So, okay, so cosine similarity. Do you want to explain cosine similarity?
Basic. If I'm feeding a PDF to the bot, like the Mistral, if I'm feeding a PDF, then what it will do, it will store everything and it will divide it into chunks. Like for example, 200 words like this. And if I ask a question like, what is, which PDF I'm feeding, for
Gravity.
example, about gravity, then if I ask, what is the speed of gravity, acceleration speed. So what it will do, it in the whole PDF, it will load, it will process the PDF, and wherever the speed of gravity is mentioned and acceleration is mentioned, it will extract the chunk. It will show that these are top 3 results, and it will say that these are the similarities matching to the question. And based on the question, it will give the most accurate response to the question.
Out of 3 results.
The most accurate one. Now, example, the sentence consisting of acceleration speed is 9.8 meter per second. So it will generate a response which is more relevant to the question. So it is the similarity. Even Facebook AI is similarity search. It works the same way.
See, because vector is all about various kinds of matrix representation of your information, and it's all about how another concept is closer to this concept. So there's a vector space, right? In a vector database, there's a vector space. It's like saying that, okay, what is the distance from that chair to this bottle? Okay, we will say it in some sort of meters, right? And if I say, okay, which is closer to that chair, this bottle or this bottle? So this bottle is closer to that chair, because in this 3-dimensional space, if I measure it in terms of X, Y, and Z, this is closer, right? In a 3-dimensional space. Now, similarly, when you have knowledge, how do you know how to guess? How does the machine guesses? Cat sat on. What should come next? So some kind of a guessing technique has to be there. That's how humans also guess. So that is essentially what has been codified. What humans do, we know the context in which that the sentence is coming. So there is a cat can be sitting on the mat, cat can be sitting on the bench, cat can be sitting on 100 different places. Among 100 different possible places, when you and I are using that sentence, we pick a particular cat sat on the next, whatever, on Raphael's lap. Why? If somebody asks, oh, because we are narrating Raphael's story. Right? So in the context of what we are doing, we know how to generate the next sentence. The same technique and paying attention to the context is the fundamental idea that has been implemented in LLMs. So LLMs are aware. That's why better the context, better the response. Means what? It knows in what context you're asking the question. If you simply ask, complete the sentence, cat sat on the, it will simply give some vague answer. Okay. But if you fed this story and then ask, then it will give this answer. So this is a distance, vector distance. So the cat sat on the next word. Next, there are 100 million possible words that can come in English dictionary, right? If English dictionary has 1 lakh words, cat sat on the, it can be any other, cat can sit on another cat. So it can be any other word in the English dictionary. Which word should the LLM pick? It guesses it based on this kind of a embedding. In that it figures out, okay, what is the most likely answer? Oh, there is some context, Raphael's story. And in the story, cat has always been sitting on the lap. So it is better if I generate this. So the vector distance for Raphael's lap, the word Raphael's lap is closer in the vector space than the mat in this context. Is it making sense?
Yeah, so distance to what?
Distance to cat sat on the. So cat sat on the, right? That is the see, you need to generate this. There are only 2 things as an input to any LLM. There is some query and there is something to be generated, right?
Yeah.
So it has to now guess something here. How does it guess? The simplest understanding is based on this context. And for this, there are different search techniques. So, because this is the one which guesses, but to guess, I need to give the context, no? My document part, this part of my document, my knowledge base. How do I extract this part of my document? I can extract so many other parts from my knowledge base. I may have 20 into 200 pages of my knowledge base. Which page should I extract and give to LLM? Depends upon my own internal vector search approach. So you can use a Postgres DB also as a vector DB, but remember what I said, which is you want the top K. So if I want to search, okay, so think it can happen. You can implement, but the kind of that database is not designed for this kind of a vector space search. So a typical RDBMS is designed for index-based searches. Okay, so you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. If I want to search for D, so where I should find it? It's built with such kind of a thinking in the mind. Whereas vector spaces, the moment a word comes, cat sat on the. Okay, next one, I can either search in this direction or I can search in this direction. So think of it like a graph, no? Cat sat on. And each word has a relationship to every other word in this vector space. So it's not just that this is the only relationship. This has direct relationship here. This is direct relationship. So like that, it's a
Not linear.
it's a complex. Each word is connected to every other possible word, except the grammatical rules.
Simply, I'm saying this like a human mind.
Jiggy, 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 jiggy.
You think of a name, some other things association comes. So,
Correct.
Whereas the Postgres is more like a computer database.
So
So you think of
First,
you think
Postgres
of
has a good A student without a disciple is like this. Because
So the moment a word comes into your mind, there are 100 other associations with that word, no? All of them pop up. But which one should I use here? Which one should I use here? Depends upon which environment, who am I dealing with? Okay. So a particular word, a person's name, I may feel very angry. But if the person standing in front of me is not that person, but having the same name, I feel peaceful. Why?
Association.
Association. No, you did a top case search. In the top case search, anger also came. That fellow is also there, but this fellow is not that fellow. So for the timing, let me be okay. So you drop that K. So you gave association to this, right? So this is the problem with vector search. Everything is connected to everything. How do you search it fast? That it can give you the answer quickly. So that is what a vector database does. So it's designed keeping this thinking in the mind. So therefore, we use a vector database. You can use a vector database plugins for Postgres also. It can also act as a vector database, but there are vector databases like Chroma. There are many other vector databases. Chroma is generally one name that is bubbling up to the top. They are designed keeping in mind this concept from ground up. So they're better at this particular
Are
problem.
you using your two databases, one vector database and other is Postgres?
Yeah, we'll have to use that. Postgres will be for all our structured data, and for all this two use cases that we just now talked about, we have to experiment with the vector database.
Or Postgres with vector database?
That is also possible. We'll see which one works better for our context. Yeah. So this is what the experiment we'll be doing next with Anisha and Kushi.
But isn't there some sort of an AI playground where you can quickly experiment all these things?
We can also see whether there is anything like that. So that can be our very first search, where whether there is any ready-made, simply plug this model and do this training and see whether it is working well, or plug out and plug in something else. So we can first search that. Yeah.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Then, because this is a lot of trial and
error,
understanding how
yeah.
things work.
Yeah.
That is the case in field.
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll help us to understand what is Gaussian similarity, what is phase search, right? So see here, I asked you to so these are all various simple mathematical approaches to find out the distance between two vectors, right? Yeah. So thank you, GPT. Yeah. Right?
sideways or slanting.
So this is the cosine, right? In a triangle, in a right angle triangle, which is the cosine. So it is using a cosine similarity. So it calculates the cosine of different spaces and then identifies which is the similar one. So it's a guess. It is not an accurate. It cannot be accurate. It's a guess. So similarly, phase is another search technique. FAISS. It says big box toy with 1,000 different toys inside. Find the toy that looks most like this one. This is how we are searching. No, we have all possible words in our vector database. So you don't know. You cannot search by name. So it has to feel the same. See now the difference? You've forgotten the name. Maybe you've given names to each of the toy, but now you've forgotten what is the name I've given. So you cannot search by name. If you knew the name, you could have gone to an RDBMS approach. Now when it has to similar. What is similar? When I look at it, when I touch it, when I press it, similar. So it looks at all the toys. Which toy looks most like this one? Look at it. Shapes of toys in number form, vectors. So whatever the feature that you want, that you want to compare. A toy has so many features. Toy has, say, shape, material of construction, the sound, which age group it is relevant for. So like that, there are so many features or aspects of a toy, no? All those aspects have been converted into some kind of number forms called as vectors. And what it does is it simply computes which is the closest one, because it knows what is the current feature set of the toy that you're looking for. Okay, now let me go and search. Right? Is it all making sense? Yeah. But there are some more mathematical aspects. You can start exploring that. It'll be very simple. It doesn't require more than our linear algebra basics. So with that, we'll be also feeling very comfortable. Okay, so what is the next step we want to take? So now we are clear about the next step for Kushiji and Anisha ji. So we will be running this experiment with them. Yeah, so that's the first step. Shall we first review our demo goals for today and then go from there? Huh? Anupama ji and Shravan ji, is that okay? Shall we review our demo goals?
Absolutely, Ji.
Okay. Is it visible? No, not yet. Okay. So, Dhavalji, you want to update?
Yeah, dev training is done.
Okay, so clap for our four new UI devs. We have Rajita ji, Gayatri ji, Ashwini ji, Anupama ji, who have been trained by our
Yes.
UI Chakravarti.
Now I am putting a lot of chakkars on them. Getting myself free.
What is the React?
Yes, Guru. React and how to basically think about front end and approach front end.
They all became one with UI now.
The UI is the most crucial part of product.
Yes.
If everything is fine, but UI is bad, wrong cases. UI is good, some bad can be covered up.
Correct.
So if software is working, you can get error.
So all the backend is made pretty by all the front end people only. Okay.
Packaging.
Yeah. So what is the idea now from this week?
So the process that we will start is, we will do two things. One is this productionizing of student meet. I'll start doing the live coding for that, so that now they understand what is going on. And second is that parts of those I will be assigning to them as well. And for that, we will be following the process of, I'll give them the problem, they will discuss their understanding, discuss their approach and design of the solution, and then go ahead and implement. And once the implementation is done, it will come back for a review. And then once the review is done, we'll push it to the.
So
it's a process, proper development cycle.
Shall we say, in parallel, I'll start adding the goals for next demo.
Yes.
What is our next Saturday? 4 April.
5th.
5th April. Okay. So, what do you feel can be kind of a minimum expectation from all of us in terms of UI, developing the UI capabilities?
Yeah, basically small components, like as we start developing, and I feel that, now this can be delegated, this can be delegated. I will start doing that.
Okay, so one is what I'm hearing is we will productionize the student mate.
In that process, we will delegate the work to do.
Productionize student. Assign
Portions of that.
portions of dev work to
Productionization or build?
As in,
No. The production is the right word or build is the right word?
productionizing is because Guruji, this currently what has happened is we have developed this more or less to finalize on the interface UI and to that level. Now we want to also properly structure it so that, maintenance becomes easier. Yes, so, and that's where their training will also be put into practice.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
dev work to UI devs. Right? Anything else that you would like to pick up?
No, I think otherwise from learning mastery perspective and all, we have pretty much.
So, but this has to be now reviewed with Darshan, no? That is not yet happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's joining today, otherwise I can just bring him again and let's see.
I have not checked with him. Maybe we can, after we finish this, we can.
Yeah.
Darshan ji is traveling tomorrow. Yeah,
Oh, he's coming here.
tomorrow.
Ah,
Tomorrow
no,
is
then I think, oh, but no.
But that is not a good time.
Okay, let me do this. I'll record that video and I'll send it over to him.
yeah, that is as far as the actual review is concerned.
Ah.
But for tomorrow's showcase,
Hmm.
okay, now I'm kind of switching the topic.
Hmm.
So this is, as far as next Saturday is concerned, is there anything else apart from this?
No.
Okay.
That's-
Okay, now focus on tomorrow. What is the demo that is in the mind, Ravi?
The entire journey of
Okay.
learning mastery language.
Okay,
So like I was, asking questions and giving answers and all. So I'll do that while recording the video.
okay, yeah, it's not yet done, right?
No, but I'll be doing it
Okay,
Hmm.
so how long do you think it will be?
1 or 2 minutes.
1 or 2 minutes. So tomorrow, the plan is Guruji, there'll be a 1 or 2 minutes of video. Do you want to just briefly show how it will, what will be the
Yeah, sure.
experience?
Yeah.
That way, Prabhuji can also comment on it. You want to show now?
Sure.
Huh. Okay, so goals for next demo. Okay, so we'll get it from the other teams also, and yeah. Yeah. All right. And then the next one was the productionization. That is anyway, now you're moving further. Do you think by this weekend, that is 5th, will be 100%?
May not be.
Okay. But some kind of a CI/CD pipeline will get established.
CI/CD is going to be earlier than. CI/CD is like deploying to production is going to happen from day one. What will happen is as soon as we will start committing the code, pushing it, it will be like.
Okay. And in this create UX, from a UX standpoint, I think you have completed the work.
Hmm.
Now it's recording the video.
Yeah, and one more thing that we can add here is now refining of the color scheme and the UI to make it more of a real student based application.
Super. That's enough, no? Okay. Shravanji?
Yeah, Hari Om, Vijayji.
Yeah.
So, it's for the platform team, we are still, everything is in progress. CI/CD, I have enabled on the dev, we have run a small application on and posted it on Firebase. So we now know the technology, but because we had to I have not taken the StudentMate API. That was job I have went to Carnegie. Yeah, he had some problems in initiating his GitHub. Once that is there, we'll start downloading student app and then put it onto the Firebase.
So this one, in terms of your goal was to CI/CD enable all deployments. How much percentage accomplishment would you say we did?
So on the development, we have only learned, and so it's around 30-40%. We still have to actually put the student mate app in CI/CD. On the APIs, I've already put, there are two things for me. One was to put the UI side on CI/CD. The other one was to include tests, automatic tests in the current CI/CD enabled pipeline of APIs.
Hmm.
Correct?
Correct, Ji.
So the API putting the Firebase is we have just learned, but we have not yet implemented on student.
Okay,
made.
yeah. Yesterday night, Carnegie showed that he had deployed some sample app.
Yes.
Okay.
And now we need to do the actual app. So
Okay.
that's where that is. On the test enablement, I think we have made a lot of progress. I have now enabled the testing with the Jest plus super test inside CI/CD, so that testing is working in CI/CD pipeline. Unfortunately, I can't demo it because there are some changes again, and that CI/CD pipeline, although it is set, it is because of changes in my tests, it's continuing to run. But automated test during CI/CD is running now.
Super. So this is automated tests. I'll say POC. So you would say that POC is 100%. Now we will be looking taking it up, right?
Yeah. Now it will be a regular routine. Every time I change tests or I code, I need to run the tests again. So
correct.
Yeah.
Super. And I'm assuming the integration of Carnegie is also done to a greater extent.
Done.
Okay. And the TeachMate APIs and database?
Yeah, so database is ready. API is still under development.
Okay, so say...
No, not API. API is already got. We are trying to do the API code. That is under development.
So what percentage would you assign, Ji?
API code is, I think, I have just set up the basics. So 10 to 20%, not more, 10% maybe. Basics are there. Still a lot of checking need to be done.
Sure. So now coming on to the next week.
And of course, we are also integrating Pratibha-ji. So that's another.
Correct. So that is as you can see here now, I switched to 5th April. So one is you want to target all apps, right? So that is.
Yes. No, not all apps. The student app, student UI app.
Okay, so right now you have the StudentMate API side CI/CD enabled.
Yeah, enabled. Yes.
But you want to enable the StudentMate front end.
UI is UI.
Yeah. Okay.
StudentMate API is Cloud Run. That's enabled.
Yeah.
StudentMate UI will be on Firebase. That's what will enable.
Okay. And how about the TeachMate side? Do you plan to CI/CD enable?
TeachMate API will be on Cloud Run. TeachMate UI on Firebase. As we have not come to TeachMate yet. Once TeachMate is locally tested, then I'll put it on. That CI/CD is just a duplicate. So I'll enable CI/CD for TeachMate also.
So is it okay to say that, by next Saturday, StudentMate UI CI/CD, then TeachMate API and TeachMate?
No, TeachMate API CI/CD is not the immediate target. The immediate target is to complete and test TeachMate API.
Understood. Okay. But TeachMate UI, you want to target for CI/CD?
TeachMate UI also, if we have, we'll target for CI/CD. That's a continuous thing. Yeah, both.
Okay, excellent. And then this integration is done now. Instead of Carnegie, you have Pratibha-ji.
Yeah.
Okay. So that, yeah. I heard yesterday that, you have asked her to look into API development and DB design. That's the path you want to prompt her to
No,
continue.
no, basically DB, I wanted her to understand the database and it is still in the learning phase.
Yeah.
The path is not clear because she has to still understand basics of, our environment.
Sure.
Yeah. So first I'll see how she's coming up with these things and then integrate.
Okay. One technique that,
Right now it is only learning about databases and understanding about PostgreSQL, read and see if she can do some basic things with it, play with it and understand it.
Okay.
Then I'll give some part of TeachMate DB and the actual database and its, splitting what we have done, the checking of the database for all the three all the three services.
Have you integrated Flyway G
Flyway, no,
for DB migrations?
no, not yet.
So, see, one way you could consider G is, so for example, if let's say you are the overall designer, architect, and lead, then, you could consider, say, for example, to begin with, there are other three areas, right? You will have to develop the APIs, you will have to design and develop the databases, and you'll have to develop the whatever the functional tests. So three broad areas are there.
Correct.
So you could consider developing each one of them in one area first vertically, and then maybe see between the two, Carnegie may be more well-rounded relatively right now.
Yes.
So therefore, Pratibha ji, you may want to start by either API side or DB side, depending upon your choice, Ji.
We'll start on the DB side.
Yeah. Sure, Ji.
DB migrations. Let me check if once she has come up with this, I'll ask her to look at Flyway also. Integration of Flyway.
Yeah. So if you can focus on that, Ji.
Yeah.
That way, see, let's treat the DB as a separate, if you want, even, it can even be thought of as a separate repository. So, or, if you maintain
including posting, clouding, putting it on cloud and all, everything as a separate thing. Yeah. It is right now like that. In the cloud,
yeah,
both PostgreSQL, Cloud SQL is also used and Cloud Run Docket is also used. So
correct. But
maybe
in terms of managing your CI/CD pipeline, it'll help you if, let's say, for example, database is a separate repository, but I leave the choice to you. You could maintain the DB side of the microservice in the same repo as a microservice or as a separate repo. So you please decide, G, how you want to do that.
I'll study that. Let me understand that a little bit more. How keep a
how
separate database for repository and continue.
Yeah. Just like how you have a GitHub repo for your say student-made microservice, you can have a repository for student-made database, and you build all the CI/CD pipelines based on that.
Okay.
But you please decide, G.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Then is the next item also okay, Ji? Develop TeachMate APIs and database.
A database is ready. So database means, I have to put it in the, even that has to be developed. APIs are, the development of API is going on. That's 10%. And another task, what you're saying is put the TeachMate DB in a repository. That I'll start.
Okay. So develop TeachMate APIs and database, and set up TeachMate DB in repo is another thing to consider.
Yes, that's another.
Do you have any targets for automated tests?
Automated tests are right now running on the student-made API.
Yeah. Now, is it, there is a concept of coverage in terms of APIs, for example, is it covering 100% of your APIs or 60%?
No, I have not enabled coverage right now in Fest. Thing. I'm just testing the current APIs which are working, except that there are some problems in the properties and what we expect. For example, that ease progress is, and there we tried to introduce some logging and it went haywire. I'm trying to get back. So API tests, automated tests for API right now are there, but coverage is to be enabled to check the coverage.
So what would you like to target for next demo day, G?
Not the coverage, first the basic API, all the for the automated tests of both the student made API should be 100%. We should also, once the API is developed for teacher made only, I can develop API automated tests for API. So right now, let's say automated test should be 100 for student made API 100%.
Okay, that is the target.
That is the target. Yeah.
100% coverage, right? That's what you mean, right?
Yeah, 100% coverage.
Okay, okay, excellent. Any other point you have, G,
No.
on the platform side? Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, G. Okay, Rajita Ji has gone for a restroom break. Let her come back, and then we'll discuss about the GPT. Anisha Ji, yeah, your update on. You want to demonstrate? Yeah, why don't we see what you've done and then we can discuss. Okay, Rajita Ji is back. So we'll discuss Rajita Ji and then come. Yeah. So Rajita Ji, as far as the custom GPTs are concerned, what do you think is right now the step, and what is the next step you would like to take? Yeah.
When we asked like this one teacher, all the teachers were busy evaluation.
Yeah, he was telling that after April 4th only they'll be available. So okay, so looks like we may not get a lot done. So maybe after 4th you can prompt him and see how much you progress. Okay, so this one we will still wait as pending feedback. Okay. Then let's move on to Anisha Ji and Kushi Ji. So we'll call it the LLM team, right? So the LLM team will be now this team. Okay.
Database team?
No, UI team, platform team, custom GPT team, and then now the custom LLM, right? Whatever. Yeah. Yes, Anisha Ji.
That's next level training for an LLM.
Yeah.
Okay, we are talking about Rajita Ji, but in which context?
Correct. You want to share your screen, Anisha Ji? Is it possible for you to come somewhere here, Ji? I'll come closer because people online may not be able to hear you.
I want to have voice like Anisha Ji. Become calm. Kelsa Marpidappa.
You are something like that. No,
Yeah, I still can't hear.
Yeah. She has come closer now. Please tell whether you are able to hear her.
I think we can become like Rajita Ji.
Can you hear her now?
No, not at all, Vijay ji.
No.
Anisha Ji.
Yes, yes.
See, the microphone is here.
Even my. ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ತರಾನೇ ಇನ್ನು so.
Yeah, this is the chatbot I made using Tiny Llama model.
Is she talking? Are you talking, Anisha ji?
Yeah. Ma'am, can you hear
Mother.
Brother. She called you Kali. Kali is a big Shan.
Yeah, can you all hear me now?
Little bit.
Okay, she's almost holding the microphone closer to her mouth. Is she not still audible? Sorry, Shavanji, Ashwini ji, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, it's enabled.
Yeah, can you all hear me now?
yeah, now we can.
Yeah, yes.
This is the chatbot I made using Tiny Llama model of yeah. This is not working that properly, but yeah. So give me 2 more minutes, I'll fix this.
No problem. Is there something that you would like to demonstrate, the Kushiji Misa? Not yet ready, is it? Okay, all right. Yeah, no problem. Why don't you come and give the update? It's okay, Anisha ji. This is called as the Microsoft moment.
Always it happens.
I showed
Yeah,
just
she
now.
just always it happens when you are here. Because about everybody something will not.
As product managers, we're used to it. In my computer, it is working. I don't know why it is not working here.
You suggested 2 minutes ago, she showed
That's
that.
okay. There'll be some or the other, setup and all. Don't worry. So relax and you look into it.
Hello, is my voice audible?
Maji,
Lot of background sound also.
Okay.
Kushi's voice is audible.
Is it audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the Mistral model which I was working with, like previously I had showed a demo where I uploaded one PDF and using cosine similarity, the model is showing 70% accuracy while responding to the PDF query. Yeah, so
How large is the PDF?
how?
Large.
Maximum is 200 MB. So now
When
I'm
you say maximum, that is what you loaded or that is the limit of that?
no, that is what I loaded.
That is what you loaded.
I don't know the limit.
And you haven't, I don't think you have done any RNG, right? You're simply loading it directly into the model.
And it's like I'm loading it in code only.
Into a vector database?
Yeah, in
Oh,
vector
okay. So you essentially set up a RAG. pipeline.
RAG
Ah.
pipeline.
Ah.
But now I'm
Yours also initially is RAG pipeline?
now
Not chunky.
Not chunking properly. Okay, we'll figure that out.
yeah. So now I'm trying to upload, like there are various PDFs for the website, and I'm facing issue in uploading multiple PDFs at a time with the model.
Okay, so when you say multiple PDFs, is it at the same time you want to upload?
Yeah, same time.
Okay, why don't you upload one by one? At the end of the day, you want to upload and chunk it and embed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you have to do it all at once?
Because which PDF I'll be uploaded, the bot is responding to that PDF only. Once I remove that PDF and I upload other PDF, it is.
So, okay, so help me understand your vector database.
Mm.
So the first thing is to load your vector database with your knowledge base, right? And for that you are chunking and you are embedding. So which approach are you using, word or sentence or document embedding approach?
Like the PDF I'm using.
No, but PDF correct.
Hmm.
But if you look at your embedding approach,
Hmm.
usually it will be one of them.
Okay.
Maybe you need
Must
to
be document.
maybe document.
Yeah.
Okay, you may be entire document
Hmm.
and you're converting that into some kind of an embedding
Yeah, yeah.
and you are sending it to vector, right? So now it's already in your vector database.
Yes.
Now the next PDF that you do similarly,
Ah.
it will insert.
Yeah.
It cannot replace. So in your vector database, you will have the first PDF vector embedding, the next
Okay.
PDF vector embedding. So like that, you first embed all your PDFs
Ah.
into your vector.
Okay.
Then you start your query.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir. I'll try doing.
So right now, what are you doing? You as soon as you embed, you are trying to query.
Yeah, I am uploading all the PDF at a time.
Ah. That is also okay, perfectly okay.
Okay.
But don't try to upload all of them at once.
Hmm.
One after the other.
One.
So
Okay.
imagine, we call it as vector initialization.
Hmm.
And is that vector only a in-memory vector database or is it even if you close your program, it will be on the storage?
Even if I close my program, it will be on.
It will be in the storage,
Yeah.
right? Okay, excellent. It's called as persistent storage.
Okay.
So you're persistent.
Hmm.
So which means that you're not going to lose your vector embedding. So you have a separate program which will only do vector embedding. That is one part.
Hmm.
Then you have another program which will take your query and read the appropriate part of your vector
Hmm.
and get that part of the document and generate the prompt.
Okay.
So another program which will only generate the prompt for RAG.
Hmm.
So assume the vector is already there. In your second program and in your second module, don't worry about embedding. Assume it's already there.
Hmm.
Use different techniques. Okay, I've
Okay.
used cosine similarity or I'll use base search.
Hmm.
So like that, use different approaches. The second module should be capable of using any of these search techniques, getting the relevant section, generating the prompt that can be fed to LLM. That's the
Okay.
second stage.
Ah.
Keep that as separate.
Hmm.
Then the third stage is feed that whole thing to LLM,
Yeah.
get the response.
Ah.
Then fourth stage is how to do verification. That we will think next.
Yes.
But if you do them like these three distinct steps,
Hmm.
it will be easier to manage them.
So like I have made a rough idea about how it is working.
Okay, loading, indexing, storing. Correct. Yeah, so up to this, no, it's all about your first stage.
Hmm.
That is, where you are initializing your vector database.
Yeah.
So your vector database is initialized.
Hmm.
So this, if you really think about it, it has nothing to do with your inference stage.
Yeah.
Broadly, there are two stages. Broadly,
Okay.
there's a training stage and there's an inference stage.
Hmm.
So in a way, this is related to the training, right? Because we're initializing.
Yeah.
The actual training is the LLM training. That's a separate one. That is already has happened.
Okay.
So now you are creating your vector representation, right? So this is your training phase. Now what you do is you have a separate section here, which is going to retrieve and generate the prompt.
Hmm.
Show it as a separate. Okay, so if you think about it, broadly, we can think about it like three boxes. Building and then creating the if you think about it, these are three distinct stages in the pipeline, right?
Yes, sir.
So this part of the pipeline, building the vector
Vector.
database can be done separately.
Okay.
Okay, so this is simply a matter of adding, removing content from your vector database.
Okay.
Okay, it doesn't have to do anything at inference time. This is what is used in the inference time. These two are the things that are responsible for inference. You understand the difference between inference and training?
Yeah, sir. Inference is like initial stage and training is like what we do.
In terms of LLM, we can think of inference as when the user submits a query, what all that needs to happen when they submit the query, what all needs to happen, and until they receive the response can be called as inference.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so they submitted a query and I need some image or I need some answer, right? That is inference.
Okay.
Before that, whatever I do, for the time being,
Mm.
very strictly speaking, this is not training,
Okay.
but in a way, we can for ourselves think of this as training. So there's a training stage and there's an inference
Inference
stage.
stage.
In the training stage, we are building our vector database and all this. Right, this can be independently done. Inference stages, I have a trained vector database and I am submitting the query and I'm retrieving and I'm generating the prompt. That's the first stage of inference. Then I actually submit that prompt to my LLM. Then whatever LLM does is my next stage.
Okay.
Right? So this activity and this activity, let's separate. That way you can independently play. So I want to add new PDF. Okay, let me add. I want to remove some PDF. Let me remove. I want to change a particular PDF. Let me change. That will not affect your inference.
Okay.
So we can do experiments such as, okay, if I have only one PDF, how it is performing inference stage. Okay, if I have two PDFs, how is it performing? If I tweak, let's say the embedding technique, how it is performing.
Okay.
And while retrieving from this embedding, if I use different search techniques, how it is performing. So like that, you can then identify different ways by which you can tune this.
Okay.
Because what are the parameters we can control? How we embed, we can control. How we search, we can control.
Yeah.
What prompt we can give, we can control.
Huh.
That's all is in our control.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing else is in our control because the LLM has been already trained, the way it has been trained. If we have to go with retraining, that is called fine tuning. We are not looking at fine tuning in this approach. This approach is first, we will see whether using RAG approach, whether we can get the necessary reliable output. Right?
Okay.
So the initial training can also be redone, called as fine tuning. That we will think next.
Okay.
That's a totally different technique. So if you learn a little bit about what is fine tuning, what we are doing is RAG,
Okay.
only augmentation, and in that augmentation, split. So then we can play around with these three parameters. If I change embedding, what happens? If I change search, what happens? If I change my guidelines, remember we need to give three things.
Yeah.
Knowledge base is going to come from here. So from the vector database, I'm going to retrieve the knowledge base.
Okay.
Guidelines are also to be already given to during the retrieval stage before it generates the prompt. So the final prompt that comes here will be a combination of what I have in the vector plus what guidelines I may have given plus whatever the user query.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, only RAG or even CAG can be used in this.
We can use CAG also. First, let us build a RAG pipeline.
Okay.
What is a CAG? If I have built a RAG pipeline, instead of picking a portion, if I pick the whole thing, in a way, I've done a CAG.
Okay.
Correct, no? So therefore, if I build a RAG, I can repurpose it for CAG.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
ಈಗ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅನಿಶಾ.
So now she will demonstrate. And Anisha will speak from there only. Everybody will hear.
I'm not confused.
The third one is that knowledge base guidelines and user questions.
Yeah. Guidelines are nothing but
If I ask any query. See, it's retrieving the whole,
Not able to hear.
yeah, it's retrieving the whole,
That's okay, don't worry about it.
see,
Go to the relevant section.
yeah, at last, it's Biscuits is unique educational institute that offers innovative. This is the answer.
So this is the relevant answer. The data is generated, right? Don't worry about the rest of the things that we will worry later. But this answer, how good is it in comparison to the answer that our Jot form is giving? Did you verify that? Could you verify that?
I did verify.
Not really. Okay, that doesn't matter. Okay, let's ask the.
And it's giving the sources also from where it is. That will remove.
Sure.
Yes.
Let's ask the same question. When is the workshop?
Those questions are not there, sir. Only the website.
Website is there. Okay, so what are admission criteria?
Or what is the eligibility age?
Admission criteria.
Have any early bird offer?
Come down.
Yeah, this.
Just ask.
So the admission criteria based on various factors. Is that what we are? This is the website information, is it?
I just have to get to know how is it again asking, how do I apply? I have not asked.
All they take you to the website.
Okay, it's matching.
It's thinking it's a split decimal also. That is where, okay, so now go to your code, how, are you also using a vector DB?
Yeah.
Which vector DB are you using?
Face. Face.
The face is search approach.
Okay.
Is it using the Chroma? So show how you are embedding. See here, you're using a sentence transformer. Kushi, this is important for you also to know this. See, this is how you create a transformer, right? This is she is using a sentence transformer. Okay.
Yeah, even I was.
Okay, so this is what I was prompting. So either you can do a word transformer, sentence transformer, or overall document transformer. So now this has been embedded as sentences, which means what? When it is doing the search, it looks at the closeness of the sentence to another sentence, not word to word. That example that I showed is a word to word vector space. Whereas this one is a sentence to sentence. The cat sat on the mat. How close is it to the dog sat on the mat? Yeah. The dog ran away is another sentence, right? So let's say these three sentences are there. So which sentence will it pick up when you give a sentence? Says the cat sat on the mat. Most likely in the rank order, it will pick up the dog sat on the mat. Because in terms of the concept, it is very similar. The dog ran away is also a sentence, but that is distance wise away. Yeah. So like that is how a sentence transformer figures out. So you can play around now with, okay, instead of sentence, if I do word, is it better? Or if I do word, document, is it better? Or should I use combination? So all those will be your approaches. Okay. Yeah, so vector store. What is your vector store? Okay, your vector store is So this one is building the in-memory vector store, looks like. It is not a persistent, unlike hers, it's not a persistent storage.
Yeah.
What phase does is, it persists in the main memory. Which means if your program goes away,
Yeah.
it also goes away.
Yeah.
So every time
I need
it relearns and creates the index.
Yeah, yes.
Right?
Like RAM,
It's like RAM. That's how phase works. So you can, the indexing part of phase, no, if you are going to use phase, the indexing part, you can index and persist it. So next time when it loads, you can simply read that index file. So that way you'll optimize. Otherwise, this as your knowledge base grows, this will be slower, right? So those are the next steps you can do. Okay, so now you're using CUDA, right? So this is where you're saying what kind of a device to use. So if I'm not wrong, CUDA is a GPU. So can you find out what did it allocate? Did it allocate a CUDA or a CPU? Because if your inference is using the CUDA, it
She's
means
using.
T4.
it's a GPU,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you can see.
Where is it saying?
You can see, yeah, you can see here also.
Oh,
So now see, so it's using this GPU.
so that's why our response generated is very.
Is very fast. So now if let's say this Python 3 Google Compute backend, right? So this is what this infrastructure gives you. To a certain extent, this suite.
Yeah.
But now let's say if we use same, if you want to run it on our own GPU using GCP, does it tell you what is the model it is using? See, it is using the 12.7, okay, so plus 4, so it's a 16 GB, 15, almost 20 GB RAM. Disk, okay. What is the type of the GPU? Where does it say?
Yeah, T4, it's mentioned over here.
So if you go to GCP and look for the GCP calculator for a T4, now go to another tab. In another tab, open GCP calculator. Another tab. Another
I
tab.
know, sir, how this thing, how do I?
Oh, this fellow you pull down. This you pull down.
Okay, okay.
GCP calculator. Go to GCP calculator. Open it again. So yeah. So here, add estimate. Search T4 GPU. Just like T4. Just like T4, remove the GPU. Cloud GPU. Please come here. Okay, NVIDIA L4. Is there T4? Just see.
Yeah.
NVIDIA T4. Now choose a region like closer to India. Bombay, is it in Bombay? Mumbai. Okay, excellent. Okay, so let's say 730 hours per month. Okay, so let's say, yeah, let's not come down. Yeah, that's how. Start on this. So this is coming to about 299.30 per month. Okay, which means what? Just go to another tab. And here itself, come back please. You should be able to pick the currency that we want to go. Yes. Cost details. INR. Indian rupee. So this is how much it will cost. 26,000 plus taxes. Say about 30K.
per month.
For just this one machine. If you want to use it for almost about say 730, it is like as if you're using 24 hours. all the 30 days. That's what this is. So it will not be this much, as our usage increases, it will be. So it's not too heavy. See, it can still work. Yeah, so looks like this is definitely something that is worth pursuing further. And so this is where you're loading your model. So this is the tiny llama model. And then, baby llama model. This is where the actually how to retrieve. So you need to explore what are the other retrieval types.
That is the creating RAG, that part of the code. RAG.
So, okay, what is RAG? RAG is all about retrieval, right? So, go please. Well, this is where she's created her
Such-
the equivalent of vector database. The equivalent of our vector database is this chart. Where she has created the database. And in this database, she has the clients and the embeddings.
Embedding.
So they are all embedded there. Okay.
That word sentence document.
And she has used the sentence-based embedding. So
So that second one.
second one. So that is what she has done here.
Okay.
Okay, now your database is ready. Your vector database is ready. Then during and now she is loading the model. This is your LLM. This part is loading your LLM. So she has loaded the LLM. And now when the query comes, here. And what does it do? It formats the query. So it, like 1 + 2 + 3, right? It is doing all that. Okay, your user, like an assistant, so on and so forth. And then formatted query. So it submits. And then whatever the response that comes. So from her face, and then it submits.
This is a
Radio UI. Oh,
This is just-
whatever UI.
What are the UI?
Ah.
So this is called as a notebook where you can do these kind of fast experiments. So this is like think of it like an environment where you can integrate your model, your UI, your simple Python code, everything, just to experiment.
Okay.
This is not
Editor,
for
editor,
simple editor for experimental purposes
like VS
to
Code.
figure out things fast. Yeah. And after that, you need to get the right thing. That's what we just discussed. Okay, let's split into 3 separate things. So you can also do that here. So you can here itself notebook also. You can have a vector database creation step, then retrieval step. So what I would recommend is, okay, so now based on all this discussion, okay, so we should clap for Anisha. Good. So because this is a where is our Ashwini, big step for mankind. No, really, because
Teachers, you have to give a training.
huh,
I will understand.
yeah,
Both of them.
Whatever Vijay ji explained, he has already done.
this is what she has done,
Ah,
and using the this can be thought of like a SLM.
correct.
Whatever she has done is an SLM.
Yes.
Okay, it's a small language model, but reliability don't know yet. At least it is generating the answers. So now we need to, if we really want to go down this path, we need to see whether this is reliable enough.
What base code she has taken?
What
Base code what is base code for it? What you have taken?
she must have used some lot of open source. Oh, yeah, please explain, no, what you did.
Which base code you have, which base platform SLM you have used?
tiny,
Huh?
tiny llama.
Tiny Llama. So now, is it able to, you have done some data to that?
Yeah, Biscuit Gurukula. Yeah, why don't you show that, no? To show that to Guruji, the Biscuit Gurukula questions that you're asking.
They're asking for URL? Or
No, sir,
Your
there's
friend URL?
a UI.
Huh?
UI.
What she has done is, she's extracted the website into
Yeah,
PDF.
URL of the website.
Yeah, this was the question asked,
Yeah.
admission criteria.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Tell me about Purna Chaitanya.
I think so, that is one thing, right?
Oh,
What is that? Let's see.
No, here, yeah, read out this part, no?
read out. Purna Chetana is a unique educational institution that provides holistic education
Perfect,
for
perfect,
students.
perfect,
Very good.
No, but wrong,
That's not the question.
Wrong school has been established in Nursing Prabhuji.
No, that's not true.
That's wrong.
So,
That's not true. It is the same.
so that's why it still is messing up few things. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is that? Oh,
Here, here.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲಿದೆ.
Wrong ಇದೆ.
And no, it is giving, see, under the guidance of Guruji, Sri Narasimha Prabhu and the Purna Chetana.
No. Who is the founder of Police Chaitanya Group? It is started this way.
Hallucination.
Tell me about Bharatiya Sanskriti, Bharatiya culture.
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 It's infinite. Bharatiya, yeah.
Is a rich and diverse tradition that has been passed down through generations. It encompasses various aspects of life.
This is not in our website. So,
It
this
is,
is speaking from the general data, is it? This is not, this person is not in the website.
Yeah, so I think, that constraint to answer only based on a knowledge base spread. Yeah, has to be done.
Okay, very good job, Manisha.
very good. ಅದು ವಾಂಗಿಬಾಯಿ. ಮರ್ತೋದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅನ್ನ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲ.
Shall I stop presenting?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so what should be our next steps on the LLM part? So should we run on two parallel tracks? One where we look at whether to take this SLM and do our own internal investigations, or just simply upload it to Locusview and get these two focused on the the LLM rack pipeline building. So we can now see in three distinct ways, right? One is Rupashiji madam will be given this SLM problem, and anyway we put the boundary. So that is one way. So that way, at least some kind of a proof has been established that it is relatively doable. So therefore, we can expect the better answer from Rupashiji. This is one part. So that way now Anisha and Kushi can be focused on only LLM plus RAG, so that it is ready for production. Our third is one of them will work on the LLM plus RAG for production, and one of them will continue to do SLM, and Rupashiji also will do SLM. So like that, we have three possible routes. Any opinions, thoughts?
What will be the difference in LLM approaches that they can take?
These two will be now, let's say we will focus on creating a production quality Krishna and Daksha. Using some kind of a way by which we can plug and unplug different LLMs and experiment, like we discussed a little while ago, right? So that is That is the,
I think that is the first thing that we
that we should do, right? And let Rupati focus on the SLM. Does it sound agreeable to you both also? No, that's okay. So, what we are thinking is, the two of you will focus on building what we discussed earlier, a LLM based production quality solution for our production. So the work that the two of you will do will be integrated directly into the production applications. Now that you kind of have touched upon different aspects of, what's happening, how it is generating, you now also know various techniques. But, to fine tune this SLM technique also could have been one path, but that we will upload to Rupashri ji and her team. So let's focus on the production quality LLM integration. Yeah.
I think one thing we should also do is this short forms pricing is for USD.
Yeah.
And we are Indian.
Yeah.
And we are not for profit in education space.
Yeah.
We can directly also reach out to them if they offer some huge discount.
Yeah.
So that worst comes first, we have a backup on that time. That we can directly, integrate jot forms for some few months if we need a buffer. And, then switch over to our
solution.
When it.
Yeah, okay, so
Yes, may not be that scale.
I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
So let me trigger that thread.
Yeah.
Which is to connect with Jotform.
Yeah.
Let them focus on this whatever LLM that we spoke about.
Yeah.
And let Rupashri focus on SLM.
Yes.
Super. So then coming back for you guys. Okay. So custom GPT, we already put the thing. So this is, let's call it as the RAG plus LLM. So this is Anisha ji. Khushi ji. Okay, so let's first explore what are the, like how Dhavalji suggested, no? Are there any ready-made open source Hugging Face solutions available where you can simply plug in and train different, it should have some kind of a RAG pipeline already established, and you should be able to only plug in and plug out different models and experiment. So RAG experiment setup. So explore and see if there is any open source available. Based on that, let us aim to create some kind of a design document which establishes how we are going to build this RAG plus LLM pipeline. Yeah, a design document for RAG plus LLM. You should give a good name to the teach made, student made. So, what is this fellow? This fellow is
Agent made.
This is our agent mate. Okay. So you guys are the agent mate. Agent mate. Okay, so you guys are building the agent mate app. Which is going to become the kind of like our central inference engine. It is nothing but our our platform's inference engine is AgentMate. Yeah. Super. Shravanji, Anupamaji. Oh, Karniji, when did you join? Hariomji.
हरिओम जी सर हरिओम सभी को
When did you join, Ji?
सर आपका प्रेजेंटेशन चल रहा था गुरु जी को प्रणाम हरिओम प्रभु जी को
Oh, when Anisha ji was presenting, that's when you joined, is it?
जी
Okay. So Shravanji, is this approach okay, Ji, for you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, we are giving it a name also. It's called AgentMate.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's what our Anisha ji and Kushi ji will focus on.
Okay.
Anupama ji, any thoughts?
No thoughts, Ji.
No thoughts.
No thoughts.
Because all of us are feeling very, very hungry, Ji. There is so much of food that has arrived here.
Why, Vijayji? Why you want to tell that to only to me?
I don't know, Ji. So,
What is the impression you are creating regarding me, Vijayji?
No.
Only when he's talking to you, he'll remember all the food.
Correct.
As if I am obsessed with eating.
No. So far you were the only one remote. But now we can create that feeling in Shravanji and Karniji also.
Yeah.
All right. So are we ready to break? Okay. So we'll take a lunch break. So we can regroup at 2:30. It is 1:45 now. We'll regroup at 2:30. Karniji, Anupamaji and Shravanji.
Okay, Ji.
Okay. What do we want to do after regrouping? Any particular topics that we have to discuss? Does anyone have any topics to discuss? After we regroup at 2:30.
I think this AgentMate, this experiment setup, and we also want to define this training interface.
Yeah.
In terms of
Yeah.
the data.
That's the whole thing. It's that's why it's called a AgentMate app.
Yeah.
So it has both front end, back end, everything. Yeah. But my question is, what do we want to do after we regroup?
I can quickly walk us through that 1 minute tool.
How it looks like for tomorrow. That way all of us can give a feedback. Excellent. That is one thing. Yeah. In our current website, there is a agent application that is already giving these answers. That Geeta, that you saw, no, Geeta, that has been built using something called as a JotForm. It's an application. Yeah. It's a name of a product, JotForm. Yeah. It's simply a front end for some kind of a LLM backend. The JotForm product is a front end. They have streamlined how you can give knowledge and train. So our AgentMate app that you just now, that the two of you are going to build, no? That if you look at the helper to understand about JotForm, that is how we will also be having. But in addition to that, we'll also be able to plug in a new LLM and plug out. So think of it like as our training ground.
Platforms are using GPT-4.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So Ashwin, Anupama ji, Karni ji and Shravanji will meet at 2:30. And when we meet, first we will go through what will be for tomorrow's demo by Dhavalji.
Okay.
Okay, Ji.
Yeah.
Very good.
Hari Om.
Hmm.
Hari Om.
हरिओम